It's so quiet you can hear my mind think. It's like a ride, my words rush the paper through ink. My temperament is usually cool, calm, and collected, but in this form of expression, I'm speaking through reflection. It's so real, you can feel my heartbeat. You ain't gotta touch me, just listen to the tap of your feet. You don't know me, but we will connect. The formation of these words is the universal Lego set. You can call it the sixth sense drug on an emotional roller coaster of suspense. It's your five senses overdosed on ecstasy. You're already feeling what my future thoughts might be. But let me stop playing with your emotions and give you the testament of my real world potion, because drugs have devastated my community. Babies addicted at infancy, young children stuck by needles with HIV or a lesser disease like Hep C, parents fired because of truancy, children hungry because of no food to eat, because the money went to drugs in the street. And if this picture isn't vivid enough, let me paint the portrait of living rough. Mother addicted before child's birth. Can you tell me what a life of drugs is worth? At school, the child was barely present. The mother has been asleep for 3 days. He thinks she just needs the medicine. No one at home to take him to school. He's all dressed from mismatched shoes. Hot tears stream down to warm his cheeks. Cold house, ghost breath, because of no heat. Malnutrition because no one to fix him something to eat. He's crying again because he just seen his mom get beat. His clothes are too big, his handwriting is bad, but he's real good at math. Though when he does go to school, all the kids laugh. But at least breakfast and lunch is provided by the state. Lunch is his favorite subject, like he's eating sirloin steak. And he lives in the romantic house lit by candlelight. Nah, the power's turned off, a day of all night. And like him, you still can't see, although you're crying with sympathy. Christmas is nice until everything is gone. His mom pawned the gifts to get high in the zone. Burglary, kidnapping, that man took his mom, couldn't call the police because of no phone. The next day she came back, she loved him dearly, but was addicted to crack. But what about the 13-year-old girl on the corner? Instead of being proactive, all you do is mourn her, and her daddy put her there, and that's the real shame. If I'm describing the world, we're just on the picture frame. See, I can go on and on about the drug game and how society places our rappers to blame. And how society places our rappers to blame when in realization that majority of what they say is facts. So don't blame hip hop for the misguidance of our children. Ask yourself, what have you done for your own kin? If the world is loved, then it's spelled S-I-N. See, I can't wait to meet my Father in heaven, but first you have to learn to forgive your trespasses from within. Overcome your past, because today you can begin to save a child, educate a man, live by example, and show the right ways. Here's a paintbrush, paint a masterpiece for no pay. How we doing this afternoon? So I ask you, what masterpiece are you painting? Does it depict the dreams and goals of your life? Or is it filled full of the pitfalls and the breaking points that you never overcame? See, this paintbrush has been passed down from generation to generation, and every great man and woman has held this paintbrush. And now you hold this paintbrush. And I ask you, what are you painting? Does it enable you to go far? See, when I say FAR, that's an acronym that has been prevalent in my life. The F in FAR stands for faith. See, I had to have faith in God to overcome some of the things that I face. And you have to have faith in yourself. If you don't believe in yourself, who else will? The A stands for attitude, because you have to have a positive attitude. If you woke up this morning thinking you're having a bad day, you woke up on the wrong side of the bed, then you're right. That's how your day will be. But if you woke up this morning knowing that you'll be somebody, that you'll go somewhere, that you'll do something, then you're right. That's how your life will be. And the R stands for reaching, because you have to constantly reach for your goals and work hard at it. See, many people stop when they get to a breaking point. But if they just kept going far, just a little further, that breaking point might have been a breakthrough to what they were trying to reach. See, William Arthur, he said that adversity causes some to break and others to break records. So as I speak to you today, there's going to be times where I'm going to need your assistance. When I say adversity causes some to break, I want you to say others to break records. So let's give it a try. Adversity causes some to break Adversity causes some to break. See, I was born November 10th, 1984, and when I was born, it'll be the first and last time I was addicted to drugs, because my mom has been on drugs just about all my life. So when I was born, I might be what you call a crack baby. My heart was beating too fast, I was premature, and the first miracle in my life is that I grew into a healthy young baby. And growing up with my mother, see, she didn't always make the best decisions, but she laid a strong foundation. And the first thing she taught me how to do was how to pray. We used to get down on our knees every night and say this prayer: now I lay me down to sleep, I pray to God my soul to keep. And I think I see a few of you saying my prayer. See, back in the day, we would have had a simple misunderstanding. I thought I was the only one in the world that knew this prayer until I seen this little boy on TV say my prayer, and I got upset. But eventually I understood that whatever helps me can help the next person. And growing up with my mom, I've seen different things like domestic violence. I've seen her get beat. I've seen her with a broke leg, broke arm, black eye. I've seen drugs. I've seen her use them, sell them, cook them. There's times where we've been homeless. And growing up in Alaska, it gets pretty cold. And I can tell you that being homeless in Alaska, people commit crimes just to go to jail so they can get out of the elements. But we were always protected from the storm. Now, it might not have been the prime real estate like Monopoly, Boardwalk, or Prime Place, but it may have been that day shelter or that shelter for battered women, or it may have been in that small apartment with 9 other people with drugs were in and out. But we were protected from the storm. And see, growing up with my mom, I seen different things like this, and you probably can kind of hear that I have a southern accent. And no, that doesn't mean I'm a black Eskimo. I grew up in Alaska or anything. I eventually moved down to Georgia, and when I got down to Georgia, somebody asked, what made you move from Alaska to Georgia? And I began telling them this same story I'm telling you. So my mother, she was on probation because she had been in and out of drugs in and out of jail for different things, and a bounty hunter was coming over, and they were just supposed to sign some papers, but she was probably high at the time, so when the bounty hunter got there, she said, I'm not going back to jail. So we lived on apartment 3 with her boyfriend on the left-hand side. So the bounty hunter comes, she runs down the stairs, they get in a scuffle, and then bam! He shoots at my mom at point blank range. I hear my mom scream. She runs back up the stairs, she turns right, she opens the drawer, she grabs a butcher knife, she runs in the back room and she locks herself in. And I knew my mother was a nurse in the Army before I was born, but I'm like, I don't think she can do surgery on herself. The ambulance get there, the police get there. They break down the door and they disarm her, and there's 2 holes in her shirt the size of a $50. One where the bullet entered and one where the bullet exited. And I can tell you that by the grace of God, that bullet didn't hit her that night, but she ended up going to jail. And see, I didn't understand. I'm like, why is my mom going to jail? She had violated her probation. There was drugs in the house and a shotgun. And this time when she would go, it would be for a couple years. And when she would go to jail, I would often go live with her sister, my aunt, or I would go and live with my cousins who lived down in Georgia. And see, I've been wanting to fly since I was a little kid. And in my mind, when my aunt gave me the decision to move down to Georgia, I was like, if I move down to Georgia, I get to fly in an airplane. So at age 10, I'm like, I want to move down to Georgia. So through all these things that happen, you might think that statistically, by now, I'm 31, I probably should either be dead or in and out of jail or something like that. But see, adversity causes some to break and others. So I was determined to continue to go far. So I got down to Georgia, and I can tell you it was a little bit different. They talked a little funny, the weather was a little different, and the teacher must have told them they had a student from Alaska coming. So the kids asked me all kind of questions. Did I live in an igloo? Did I ride sled dogs? Some of you have those same questions. No, it's just like anywhere else. And so about that time, it was a career fair, and I learned about becoming an astronaut. And I'm like, man, that's pretty cool. I want to do that. But there's a problem. I had to go to college. My parents didn't have money to send me to college. There was no male in my family that had been to college yet. So what was I to do? Was I to give up? Was I going to let that be one of my breaking points, or was I going to continue to go far? So I knew to go to college, I had to apply myself in school, I had to apply myself in sports. I'm gonna tell you, I wasn't the smartest person, but I was determined to reach for my goal and work harder than everybody else. So that's what I did. I started to get good grades. I was captain of the football team, a state champion in wrestling, and everything's going good. I'm supposed to graduate as valedictorian, and I'm gonna tell you, it's not because I was the smartest, it's because I worked harder than everybody else. And I really haven't talked about my father much, but he's supposed to be coming to my graduation, but he left before I was born, and I had the chance to meet him when I was 15. And when I went into that situation, see, I kept my positive attitude, and so it allowed us to grow and become good friends. And a week before I'm supposed to graduate from high school, I get hit head on by a drunk driver. I break my collarbone, and they say it only takes 7 pounds of force to break your collarbone. At the speed we were going, the force on my body, because of the strength of the seatbelt, was about 3,200 pounds. And see, I don't know if you know the defensive lineman, Nadumukong Suh, who used to be with Detroit. Now he's with Miami. He's one of the best defensive linemen right now. And they say that sports science measures the hits that he puts on opposing players at 3,200 pounds of force. And this is the force that hit my collarbone. And see, this was a physical breaking point. And it could have turned into a mental breaking point because I had been accepted into the Naval Academy, one of the top 10 hardest schools to get into. But because of my accident, they told me I couldn't come that year. The only other place I had applied to was the Air Force Academy. It's May, and what am I supposed to do? It was a breaking point. Was I going to continue or was I going to give up? See, my next goal to reach for was to get to college. So I went to Georgia Tech. I told them my situation, and they allowed me to come to Georgia Tech that year. See, adversity causes some to break and others to. So I went to Georgia Tech. I walk on the football team. Eventually, I leave Georgia Tech and go to the Naval Academy. And your first year at the Naval Academy is kind of difficult. I kind of equated to being in jail, but you get to leave from 12 to 12 on Saturdays. And so I called my dad for Christmas, and he doesn't answer. And he doesn't return my call, which was pretty peculiar. And then I get a call from his wife, January 3rd, 2005, and she told me he committed suicide. He shot himself in the head. And I've only known him for 5 years, and we really started to grow. So what was I supposed to do? Was I going to let that be a breaking point in my life? Was I going to give up? See, I had to keep my faith. I had to pray about it. It took prayer. I had to keep my positive attitude. I had to continue to reach for my goal, which was to make it through this first year at the academy. And that's what I did. I started my last 2 years on the football team. I eventually became brigade commander at the Naval Academy, which means you're in charge of all 4,400 midshipmen. And I graduated in May of 2008 with a Bachelor of Science in Aerospace Engineering. And I was commissioned into the United States Marine Corps, one of the finest fighting force the world has ever seen, with follow-on training to be a pilot. And now that's what I do. I get to fly the AH-1Z Zulu Cobra, which is one of the baddest helicopters known to man, and it's just an awesome opportunity. See, breaking points, I feel, are self-imposed, or what people impose on you. Nothing can stop you but yourself. See, when I was growing up and somebody told me I could do all things through Christ which strengthens me, that was my kryptonite to my breaking point. There's no breaking point that can stop me. And when you know that and believe that and understand that you're holding that paintbrush to your masterpiece to go far, there's nothing that can stop you. So let's recap on what we talked about today. The F in the FAR stands for, everybody, some people's listening, faith. The F in FAR stands for faith. See, Dr. Martin Luther King said faith is taking the first step when you don't see the whole staircase. That faith is going to allow you to go far through your breaking point to reach your breakthrough. The A stands for attitude. See, you have to have a positive attitude. See, in school, they used to tell me that my attitude determines my altitude and the skies are the limits. But then I heard somebody say, don't tell me the sky's the limits when I've seen footprints on the moon. And the R stands for because you have to constantly reach for your goals and work hard at it. Reach through that breaking point so you can get to that breakthrough. See, there's a small line between success and failure. And if you've never failed before, it's hard to tell which side of the line you're on. A failure isn't a breaking point. It's usually a stepping stone to a bigger opportunity, to that mountain you need to overcome. And as long as you keep stepping, you'll go from crawling to walking to running, and you'll make it. As I close today, I would like to leave you with one last quote. by Dr. Martin Luther King. He says, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands in times of challenge and controversy. So I ask you, where will you stand? Where will you stand in times where your breaking point is just about to break you? I pray that you stay strong. I pray that you go far. I pray that you stand with God. Thank you.